and that we have the situation under control. Okay, religious requirements and occupation overreaction. There are a lot of people here who aren't happy about Starfleet establishing a base here, and allowing the KDF to stay as well. The Bajorans have always been touchy about outsiders, and the occupation and the Dominion War has just made that worse. Now with the Jem'Hadar in DS9, and you all here on the ground, those old fears are coming back to the surface. There's a protester by the fountain stirring up the crowd, and we'll have a riot on our hands if we don't put a stop to it. Talk to him. Don't violate his right to free speech and assembly, but maybe you can convince him that Starfleet isn't the return of the Cardassians. Where do I need to go? Ah, down here. It's pretty funny how I was talking about how Luna's my second favorite pony earlier, and there was just a little bit discussion, but for some reason about Fluttershy and Twilight Sparkle in the on the deal down here. Okay, I don't need to access the bank or the exchange. But it's nice to know that's there. And if I'm not mistaken, I guess this. Yeah, this is definitely where I need to be.
This is our home!
The Bajoran people will not stand for another hostile occupation. The Cardassians did enough damage to our world. We deserve peace, prosperity, and the right to govern ourselves. That's right, Starfleet doesn't want to occupy. So you say. Prove that you don't intend to occupy the planet. Talk to the protesters, don't incite a riot. Yeah. Bajor is a beautiful roar. We have no wish to harm it.
We will not be slaves!
The Cardassian occupation took everything from Bajor. Our resources were stripped away with no regard to allowing them to replenish our future generations. The planet is nothing but a shell of what it once was. Yes, with careful planning we can prevent further damage to Bajor and even reverse some of the long-lasting effects of the occupation. You may be right, Admiral. I never thought about it that way. Hey, thank you. Talk to the protesters. Don't incite a riot. Okay, yeah, Bajor has a rich cultural heritage.
Bajor for Bajorans!
The first thing the Cardassians did during the occupation was try to remove all sense of our cultural identity. When the Cardassians came, our artists and entertainers were forced to work as slaves. The rural way of life that we had sustained for us countless generations was destroyed with our farmlands. And when the Dejara caste system was abolished, our society was left in a disaster. Artists became soldiers, and soldiers turned into farmers and bakers. We lost knowledge that had been handed down for generations, and the people were left to struggle through life as best as they could. The Dejara was an outdated system that made discrimination acceptable. Bajor is better off without it. You may be right, Admiral. I never thought about it that way. Ooh, that's awesome. That's 2. Alright, what else do we... Yeah, we appreciate that you're willing to share the city.
This is our home!
Many Bajorans were displaced during the occupation. Thousands died in labor camps from their homes. And even if you weren't forced into the camps, life was uncertain. You know that when Gul Pirak commanded the weapons depot here during the occupation, he executed 15 farmers simply for not displaying the Cardassian banner outside their homes. We're already seeing this here. Starfleet and the KDF are taking over the section of the city. Soon, Bajorans will be pushed out of their businesses and homes to make room for soldiers. Yeah, this is a temporary arrangement. That's technically correct. But I think you're missing the bigger picture. Yeah, many of our facilities, including the sick bay and holodecks, are available for use by the Bajorans.
Major for Bajoran!
Land wasn't the only thing the Cardassians took from us. They treated us like animals. Thousands lost their lives in medical experiments or were permanently injured through malnutrition and neglect. The Cardassians didn't care if we lived or died. The only thing that mattered was the healthy Bajorans could process more ore. No. Our doctors have sworn an oath to do no harm to their patients. They will help anyone who wants the use of their services. Could we please get rid of that? Thank you. Okay, the Bajoran religion is a culture keystone.
We will not be slaves!
One of the worst side effects of the occupation was the loss of faith among the Bajorans. We have followed the teachings of the prophets for over 1,000 years. During the Cardassian rule, our religious leaders were executed and our monasteries were closed. The atrocities that we experienced made it difficult for anyone to believe in the prophets. What's even worse is that the emissary allowed this path to the Celestial Temple to be closed during the Dominion War. People turned to the Pa race in an attempt to have their prayers answered. Alright, the prophets never abandoned Bajor, they listened. The Bajoran government's stable, they don't need us to tell them what to do.
Major for Bajorans!
The Cardassians were able to pit Bajoran against Bajoran by starving and depriving us of our basic rights. Any small... Hold on a second. Sorry about that, I had to start and restart fraps. But yeah, let's do this again.
Major for Bajorans!
The Cardassians were able to pit Bajoran against Bajoran by starving us and depriving us of our basic rights. Any small comfort that allowed us as a reward for being their puppets was treated like we won a lottery. Neighbor turned against neighbor, and brothers reported on their families. In the end, many of our people were labeled as collaborators when all they tried to do was fill their children's empty bellies. This one. Ah, and I got some diplomacy deal too. Alright. Bajor has a rich history and its people have reportedly fought for their rights.
We will not be slaves!
The Bajoran people have been fighting a war for so long we no longer know how to live in peace. The Federation rules us now. They may be kinder than the Cardassians, but they're still occupiers. Look at our history since the occupation. The Circle, the Conme, the Maquis, thousands of our young people joining Starfleet to fight the Dominion and the Empire. Our only art now is violence. Oops, unfortunately, I think I got that wrong. We don't want to leave a mark on Bajor. When we leave, we'll leave your city as we found it.
This is our home!
Bajor was scarred by the Cardassians who stripped away her bounty. But what's worse is their complete lack of consideration for the environment. The soil, air, and water has been poisoned. Entire species of flora and fauna have been wiped out or irretrievably damaged. New pests with no natural predators were introduced, and now they're overwhelming native populations. Yeah, we can work together. Awesome. Which means I can go back. If I can remember where. And I don't think I got everything right there, but I still got enough to actually and successfully complete the deal. I must say though, this is actually a pretty long mission. I heard some of what you had to say to those protesters. Excellent work. I think people will start seeing things your way. Petition the prophets and soil saver. Petition the prophets. The Vedic Assembly has agreed to allow you access to the Orb of Prophecy and Change. This is a great honor, but it is also a great responsibility. Many people want to know why the prophets didn't intervene to stop the Jem'Hadar from attacking Deep Space Nine. I know the prophets would never abandon us. They must have a reason for why they didn't act. It is up to you to carry their message back to us. Now, where do I need to go I'm running into a wall because I can't see where I need to go.